coordinator, Steve Weiser. Guys, the most incredible asset that I can have on our coaching staff is a football team. Been here for 30+ years. As a student athlete, he's in our Hall of Fame. As a wrestler and as a football player, no doubt will hopefully someday, no doubt should be in our Hall of Fame someday as a coach. The best, Wise. Thanks for everything you do, Steve Weiser. Offensive line coach and special teams coordinator Drew DiGiacinto is here tonight with his date, Jessica DiPaolo. Now, I'm not sure exactly how Coach D was able to secure a date for such a formal event, but we're glad that he has. Hey, Drew took over this year, and I worked some camps with Drew in the past, and knew he was a very good, outstanding, very good young offensive line coach. We worked at camp at Princeton every summer, and I was fortunate that Drew returned to our staff this year. But the role that I thought he did just an incredible job with us this year was in coordinating our special teams. Having coached the offensive line for the 10 seasons prior to coming back here, I don't know that I could have ever done what Drew did this year. And to coach the offensive line and to coordinate special teams is an incredible task. But Drew was willing to step up and take it and just did a phenomenal job for us. Drew DiGiacinto. When Coach Weiser made the decision to return, and it was funny, it was one meeting we had at some point last year where two guys, we met in the office, and Coach Weiser and I were there, but so was Mike Weber, and Webb is here tonight with his wife Tanya, and what a great meeting. And to the point that I spoke to Brian Ankin, our lacrosse coach, before they decided to come back, and it was just like, I couldn't believe that those guys weren't going to be a part of this, because for so long they have been. And fortunately, again, as things worked out in January and into February, Steve returned, Weber decided to come back with him, and with 20+ years of playing here as a student athlete and coaching here, those guys really understand what our program and what our tradition is all about. And so, no different than in the past, we did an incredible job this year with our linebackers, Mike Weber. Thanks. Two recent graduates that I'd like to, or at least one of them has graduated. I think the other one, thanks, you got it. We're almost there. But two young men who didn't have the fortune of winning a championship as a player, but took the time to stay with us this year and to trust the staff and to come back and work with some of their former teammates and all the new guys who came in this year. Just did an outstanding job for us. Always in the office. Despite the fact that he was a great player in the defensive line, we moved him to the secondary, and he did a phenomenal job with Coach Weiser. Heck of a young football coach. I hope there's some way we can keep him next year. Ryan Gable. And Ryan Dixon also did a great job for us this year as a student assistant, folks. It's tough to manage going to class and then understand the things that we're trying to accomplish as coaches, but Brian found the time to do it, put in a lot of extra time and effort, was great with our guys last spring in the weight room, and was a big help to us. And if there's any way he can come back next year, hopefully it'll be as a graduate, which I'm sure will be. Thanks, we'd love to have you back too. Okay, thanks so much for everything. The next young man I'd like to talk about is not a Lycoming alum, but I have a pretty good relationship with his father. His father, I think, is an outstanding football coach and someone who I also know from working camps. And when I heard that his son wanted to get into coaching, I knew he finished an outstanding career at Westchester. And even though his father is a friend of mine, the first thing he told me about Billy was that he said, "Mike, I know he's my son, but he's really smart." And from the first time I sat down with him and discussed the opening here and talked football with him, I could just tell that he had a really great football mind, and came in this year and did a nice job with our quarterbacks, Bill Vaughn Jr. Thanks, Bill. After 36 years of Coach Girardi and his sons being here, I felt obligated that I had to have at least one short Italian guy on the staff, and so as we got into the season, Carmen Bianco surfaced. And seriously, the thing that jumped out to me about Carmen was he hadn't been in coaching for a couple of years, but he was persistent. And the most important thing to me was to have guys on our staff who wanted to coach and who wanted to be around our players and who wanted to be successful. And Carmen Bianco was relentless. I wasn't sure where I was going. I had some openings that I was trying to fill, and there were some other guys who returned to the staff, and I really wasn't sure where we were going to go with the last spot or two, but Carmen just wouldn't quit. And folks, he works up at Mansfield University, leaves Williamsport every day, drives an hour north, leaves work early, worked out some comp time so he could be with us this year, and he hit the field running every day when he could get there. Did a great job for us this year. Here tonight was his wife, Mary Beth. Carmen, thank you so much for being on. Also here tonight with us, one of our part-time jobs, did a great job for us, has been very successful, had a couple of local high school programs, and also has a sense of our tradition as he attended school here at Lycoming as well, as Ken Tallman. Now, Ken is still here. I wasn't sure. He's got a baby on the way, and right Monday probably going to be have a newborn. But Ken was a late hire. We had a coach who was going to stay with us that took a job at another place, and we were scrambling this summer. But Ken was willing. He left Loyal Soccer, where they've been very successful the last 2 years, of going to Williamsport, and even though financially it might not have been the best move for him, Ken Tallman wanted an opportunity to coach at a successful program at the collegiate level, and he came in and did a great job with Drew on the offensive line with the tight ends this year. Also a tremendous asset on special teams, Ken Tallman. Thanks, Ken. Two men that couldn't be here tonight, both of who have coached here before, but are kind of on the IR right now with surgeries. Steve Radachai and Denny Hammond have both been here in successful stretches in the mid-'80s and in the mid to late '90s. And they both made the decision to return and work with us, which was great for us this year on the defensive line. Those two guys kind of balance each other out. For those of you that know Coach Radachai, he's high energy and very enthusiastic, and Coach Hammond is more of the old scribe and does a pretty good job to neutralize Coach Radachai. So those guys, I wish they could be here tonight, but again, Coach Rad just had back surgery, Coach Hammond just recently had shoulder surgery, couldn't be with us tonight, but a big part of our success this season, I'd like to mention them both.